Hey YouTube, what's going on? This is Badfish, and this is another episode of Gone Gaming. Welcome back to Cities Skylines, and of course, welcome back to the beautiful city of San Pedro. Specifically, my little riverside town that we built the brewery on last episode. I want to go over kind of what the plan is for today. I think we're going to make a lot of progress on just building out things and putting down some more population in the city. So kind of scrolling out here, I want to show you a couple changes I made off camera. Hopefully the daylight will start working with us. So beforehand, in the last episode, all we had was this roundabout and a road stretching this way. So what I did was I went ahead and added a different intersection over here and then stretched it out this way, so that way we could have this highway exit as well as obviously this roundabout down here connecting into this town. So we have this nice like 4-lane road that I think is going to be our kind of main strip with our little downtown area, and then we're going to kind of fill in the rest of this with some more town basically. So if you remember, I did have kind of a crappy little road layout laid down last time. I'm going to change it up a lot from what we had last time and make it a lot more unique. I think it ends up looking pretty good. But we're going to go ahead and jump into a time lapse so we can start laying down the foundations of the town. But I hope you guys enjoy the episode, and I will talk to you in a minute. Alright guys, so like I said, I wanted to try to make this road layout a little more unique. It was very boxy when I made it in the last episode, and I'm trying to get away from using grids and things like that. I want to try to make some more unique shapes and try to challenge myself a little bit more with like the landscaping and detailing later on. So I think that for what it's worth, this area turns out really good. It looks pretty unique. I think the roads are well laid out to the point that, you know, it doesn't look ridiculous, but it also doesn't look like too straight lace and way too boxy. And then over here, I'm just putting a couple dirt roads. That's where like that wind farm's going to be, and eventually that's going to stretch over to like our trash and things to keep it out of the main city area. And then just finishing in, you know, I'm still using some squares and some boxes, but not the entire thing. And then raising up, of course, this beautiful train line and just letting it cut right through the city. I like when you have like train lines or highways cutting right through the city. I think it breaks it up well, and I mean that's pretty realistic. Most cities have some sort of transportation cutting right through them. Definitely a lot of American cities, when they did the Eisenhower highways, you know, they just built the highways straight through cities that already existed. So it's very realistic to have that just kind of cutting through. And then right now you are going to see me struggling to find a prop that I wanted to place down, or not a prop, a building I wanted to place down. So I actually ended up having to close out the game and reload it because I never downloaded it off the workshop. So we finally did get it, and it's going to be a nice big mall. I try to place it there. It's not flat enough. I put it over here. I didn't like that. So it is going to move back to close to that spot that we are already in. And I did get this parking garage asset as well. That's just because I wanted some different kind of looks to go through the city. I didn't want it to, you know, all just be typical commercial or typical buildings like that. I wanted to have some like unique buildings plopped through. So I did go on the workshop and find those and find some unique buildings. And then I did find this really good wall-to-wall commercial set. I think it's just called like Inner City Narrow or something like that. But I think it ends up looking really nice for this main strip. I really wanted the main part of the town to be very densely packed. It's not going to be high rises or anything like that. It's not that big, but I did want it to have like a delineated downtown and then obviously a suburb area. So I wanted it to just look a little bit more put together than you would get with like the base game. And then I am kind of keeping that same theme of having it be a little more dense in the main roads and downtown areas by putting these, they're called like the Bronx Colonial Pack, but I like them. They're just these long, narrow houses. It reminds me of what you'd see in a lot of, you know, denser packed towns and things like that. And I think they just look really nice for what they are. So I'm not going to use these for the entirety of the city. I'm also not going to make you watch me plop down every single building that I want to put down. I just wanted to give you guys an idea of how I'm designing the neighborhoods, and then I am going to do kind of a jump cut to once I have all the houses laid down. But like I said, these kind of closer to the main road neighborhoods are going to be these very narrow, very straight houses, so they're very densely packed together. And then back here in these more like tertiary roads and things like that, I am going back to the American Eclectic pack that I've been using for the suburbs on San Pedro. Again, I think they just look very good for this theme. They really fit the West Coast theme, and I did try to keep them fairly following the landscape. I didn't want like huge jumps in the landscape. There's one right there. I try to smooth it out, and I move the houses around to get it a little smoother so it's not like just this cliff, because no one would build their house next to a sheer cliff unless it's like on the ocean. That's the only way. And then I do put down, these are the Mid-Atlantic pack. This is the only Mid-Atlantic houses I use in this entire town, and I went back and deleted them before the end of this episode. So I wanted to really keep the theme with those Brooklyn houses. I think they looked really nice. So I ended up taking out those Mid-Atlantic themes. But yeah, just designing some different looking neighborhoods. I liked having kind of that juxtaposition between the very straight shotgun housing and then, the more windy, bigger actual like suburban houses. And then, I really like having these wall-to-wall assets in the downtown. I think it makes such a difference when you scroll through, like when you get down to ground level, sim level, and you're seeing, these wall-to-wall houses near you. It really makes it feel like an alive town, an alive city. And it really does give that semblance of having like an actual downtown row, which I really like. I think sometimes when you just use the base commercial, it can be so spread out and so not uniform that it doesn't give you like any idea of what area of the town you're in. It's just, this is commercial. And then I'm just popping down some different parking lots and things. So I'm not going to be doing heavy detailing in this episode, at least not with like the town, the actual like residential and commercial. I'm just trying to get everything down. I do some landscape at the end as well, or some landscaping at the end as well, just to make it look a little prettier, so that way the town has a little more life to it. As far as like extra detailing, I'll probably come back in here off camera and just add a few little details, or maybe I'll make an episode of it. I don't know. But we will add some extra details. Like I could probably paint in concrete where I just put that parking lot, add some like trash bins and things like that. And then this neighborhood is a little bit different. I've done this in a couple different parts of San Pedro, but I add these really modern houses right up against the beach. I did get these modern towers, which are ugly as all hell, but I love them. So they're gross, but they're going to be kind of like our little skyline for the beach. And my idea, it's a bunch of condos in that tower. Some of them are people who decide they want to live in this ugly building. Other ones are, people getting like Airbnbs or whatever to rent out to stay on the beach for, the weekend or the week or whatever it may be. And then, just putting down some palm trees. It wouldn't be San Pedro without those palm trees. So popping those down just to add a little more, difference in the vegetation and things like that. And again, I am going to go through and use the trees you're seeing here to landscape a lot more. I just kind of put these down as a base. But we are going to jump to a live play in just a second, guys. I'm going to fill out the rest of this town off camera. But we'll jump into that live play. I'll show you what I put down. And then we got a couple more things to end out the episode. So I'll see you in a minute. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed that last time lapse. I did make a bit of a jump, so if you're seeing some things in the background that aren't familiar from that time lapse, it's because I didn't want you guys to have to watch me plopping down things for an hour. So I did do a little bit of a jump cut. I'm gonna go through kind of what we added down so you guys can see it as a car decides to clip through things. There's a lot of clipping going on, and he just drove through a building. Great. So just want to show you guys what we plopped down. So we have these main strips, which kind of go out with this, I guess it's shotgun housing, not really. I mean, just these townhouses basically kind of stretching out from the main bit. And then as we get further away from the main city center, we do start having these, typical American houses. I like this little pool complex. I thought that was cool. And then The plan is to add a couple more things to this video that isn't just me plopping down houses and has a little bit more interesting detailing. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and throw a park in on this square. And then down here, we're just going to have a little bit of an office park, not nearly as involved as the last one we made. Definitely much more simple, but just to kind of flesh out the rest of the town. I mean, so far, I think it looks really awesome. We do have these like modern houses down here, which I thought were kind of fun. So those are also part of this kind of beachfront area that we have going on. And then, of course, like I said, just like the typical suburban communities back through here. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and add a park and then some offices and finish up with some landscaping through here, because obviously we do need to add just some like trees and things kind of throughout here, follow the contours of the land and things like that, just to make it look a little bit more believable as you know, a town and a living space. So we're going to jump into another time lapse. It should be pretty quick, but we do add some cool and interesting stuff, and I do fix up these highways, so don't worry, the highways will not always look this bumpy. I do make them a little bit better, and traffic actually isn't that bad here once all these people move in, so they're all still in the process of moving in right now. But yeah, we're gonna go jump into that last time lapse, guys, and then we'll meet up at the end for some cinematics. But I hope you guys are enjoying the build so far. It's been pretty fun, and I'll see you in a couple minutes. So I did have a plan for this park right from the get-go. I really wanted it to be like a war memorial park. A lot of towns, a lot of cities across the United States will have, you know, these memorial parks dedicated to different wars. So I don't really have an idea of what war this is going to be. I do put a cannon in the middle, so let's say something like early 19th or 18th century. Definitely not, you know, more recent ones. So we do have that old school cannon in the middle. I'm going to decorate around it a little bit, but I wanted that to be the centerpiece. So it's like a nice little memorial. People can go hang out here, have their coffee, meet up with friends, do like some different congregation areas right in that center part. And then I do add just some like little cafes and gazebos just from the base park life stuff, just to make it a little more active in the park. And of course, we already have the park and the beer garden as well, so I didn't need to make this like crazy, since we already have that entertainment area as well. And actually, that big prop of the mall I plopped down, that counts as leisure and entertainment as well. So this is actually a very entertaining city. It may not look it, but it is. So yeah, just filling in the park a little bit, trying to add a little bit of character to it, just adding some different props and things to make it look alive. And then we are going to go and landscape all of this out. So the landscaping that we do, we're going to add quite a few things. So we add those gazebos in, and then put down the palm trees, of course. And then right in the middle here, I wanted it to be a bunch of white tulips. So like World War II, or World War I, excuse me. I believe it's poppies that they do for World War II, or World War I, excuse me. And so they put down poppies in remembrance. So I thought maybe, you know, these white tulips are remembrance of whatever war that's from. And then just decorating out these trees a little bit more and making the planters really kind of clean cut and manicured. And then putting down some benches. Like I said, I wanted people to be able to congregate over here, be able to utilize this space. So I do put some benches down and some trash cans so they can, you know, come sit there and enjoy the view. And now I am just going in and landscaping with those gum trees that I've been using across the map. I think they just look nice for this arid environment. They're not too leafy, but, you know, they get the job done, and, you know, they stick out, which I like. They stick out against the buildings and things like that. And then just adding some undergrowth for a little bit more realism. But yeah, I think the park ended up pretty good. I mean, obviously it's fairly simple. It's not like the most involved park in the world, but it looks nice for what it is and adds a little bit more character to the build and to the city itself. And I'm all about green space. I'm all about breaking up that concrete when you can. So now, speaking of concrete, we are going to go ahead and plop in some offices. So I messed around with a couple different offices to see what I liked. I ended up using something I got off the workshop. I forget the name of the asset. So I do apologize if by some stroke of luck the creator of that asset is actually watching my videos. I apologize for not naming your asset. I can go back and look and see what it was. but it'll pop in here in just a moment. And then I'm adding just like some of these little towers and things. So there's the office that we end up settling on, and then we add a couple more towers just to give it a little bit, again, a little bit of a skyline, a little bit of a change to the way things are going, because we have very much residential and like low-rise buildings. So I wanted these kind of mid-rise buildings in the office space. Again, maybe, you know, some nice big company came in and decided, you know, they wanted to put an office space right here on the riverfront. So very much like the last town we made for the university, just putting it right on the riverfront. I am not making this nearly as involved as the other one. Obviously, this is not the main point of this episode. We did, you know, built out an entire town this episode, so I don't want to spend an absolute buttload of time on this office park, but I think it ends up looking pretty nice. It ends up looking, you know, fairly well detailed and realistic, and you know, somewhere you'd like to work. I'd definitely like to work on the top floor of that high-rise there, but I will never be working on the top floor of any building, so I need to just get that out of my head. And then just adding some more planters. I actually don't, this is like the first time I'm just using the planters and not putting anything in them. I thought, you know, the grass just looked nice. It would, you know, little bit of change of pace, just having some grass in. And then, of course, just making some little like lunch areas for the employees, adding some umbrellas and things. Again, just adding those little congregation spaces, especially when it's, you know, big downtown buildings like this. It does add that realism because, you know, they are going to have some outdoor space, more or less. It's not just going to all be inside, you know, especially if it's a nice place like San Pedro. They're going to want to be able to let their employees go outside and eat. It's good for morale. You know what? It's good for morale. So then just finishing out the parking lot here, putting down some lighting. I really like these lamps. I don't know why. I think they're nice. I like the, you know, the 3 globe bulbs. I think they look nice. And just painting it down throughout here. Probably put a couple too many lamps in this area, but it's real well lit. You'll see that in the cinematic at the end. It's real well lit over here. And then, of course, just adding in some more concrete and things like that to add into this little space with these towers. And then I do just put down a big planter, again, just to have some more green area, cut it up a little bit. I do put some like benches and stuff. Again, those congregation areas are so nice to have when it comes to a downtown area like that. And to finish up this time lapse, guys, you are just going to see me put down an absolute massive amount of trees. And by that, I actually mean less than I usually do. I'm trying to do it a little more patchy, a little bit more realistic. So hopefully my landscaping looks all right in this one. I think it turned out really nice. Again, I really like these gum trees. I think they work really well for what San Pedro looks like and for the vibe we're going for. I am going to again jump cut into the next live play because I didn't want you guys to have to watch 40 minutes of me propping down trees. I can definitely make that a video. I get that people might find that, you know, relaxing just watching trees grow. So if that's something you're into, let me know. But I think the landscaping in total looks really good. You're gonna see it in the live play and we'll go through and talk about it. But I'm gonna let the music play out, guys. I'll see you at the end of the video. Alright guys, so that is going to do it for that last time lapse there. So as you can see, we do have a good amount of landscaping done now. So kind of filled in some of those bald spaces in between the different houses. But I did just want to go through what is essentially the finished product of this town. I think it came out really good. So to begin with, I want to just kind of go down the main strip here that you enter through. So one thing that I didn't show on that time lapse that I just went through, and it took about an hour to do, but all these houses here, I did add like a single tree in front of them just to kind of create that like main avenue kind of look, very, very manicured. I think it looks pretty good. And then, you know, you come through here, you have all your wall-to-wall shopping going down the main strip here. That guy just did something crazy. People have been like flying into this parking garage. It's actually pretty funny to watch. They go like their cars will zoom up through here. But I think, you know, having this commercial row more or less. Oh, there we go. There's one. And then having this shopping center that looks really nice. And of course, it leads into our really nice really cool beer garden brewery. So that is a nice thing. It drives right down into it. You got the Pabst Blue Ribbon sign that lights up at night, so you can see it when you come down this main strip. And I liked doing like these row houses, or not row houses, I don't even know what you call them, on the main roads. I think it just looks nice having that kind of density. So you have this like more high density areas, and then of course your typical suburbs on the outskirts. And then these monstrosities, these ugly buildings, I love them so much. These are my modern, I guess they're condos. So in my idea is like people rent these out for vacation as well as live there full time, but they're right on the beach. This I'll probably put down some beach props eventually, but yeah, I like putting my cool modern houses right on the beach. Traffic's not doing too bad. We really need to get some public transport here. I need to fix this roundabout too with the manager, but yeah, I mean, overall, I think it looks really good. We got this nice little like office park down here. So we've got our bigger businesses. Oh, right. And then I did put in this park as well. So I've talked about this in the time lapse. What is going on? All right, buddy. Let's not do this ever again. Anyway, I probably talked about this in the time lapse, but I wanted this to be like a war memorial kind of park. A lot of cities will have those, so put that cannon in the centerpiece and kind of had that as the showpiece. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think this is one of the most interesting towns I've made in Cities Skylines in a long time. I really like the way it turned out. I like having the changes in elevation and having the big highway run through. But I think now, guys, what we're gonna do is go ahead and jump into a cinematic of the build, show a couple of the different places off and different lighting and things like that. But I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like down below. Let me know you enjoy what I'm doing. I always really appreciate that. And if you want to see some more City Skylines, more of this build, see me build this brewery and stuff, check out my channel. I got a lot of videos up. San Pedro is really heavily featured. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for this episode, guys. So I hope you enjoyed your time here. I know I did, and I'll see you in the next one. Alright guys, so that will do it for this episode of Gone Gaming. I hope you enjoyed the build. If you did, definitely leave a like down below. I really appreciate that. If you want to see more City Skylines, more San Pedro, be sure to check out my channel. But I hope you're all having a great week. Peace.